Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show coming at you after Game 5 of the NBA Finals between the Nuggets and the Heat. It is all over, as we predicted. Great to see everybody in here. Can't wait to chop it up and talk about it more. And as always, I'm joined by Andrew Combo Salop, and let's talk about this game. Combo, what are your initial thoughts?
Congrats to the Denver Nuggets. Jokic's quote is just stuck in my head now.
Wait,
this guy said, I don't know it verbatim, but pretty much the job is done now. We can go home.
The job is done. Yes. And he can go back to Sombor and ride some horses.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get a new horse after all this.
You know? Right. He deserves it. What a game. Not a particularly pretty game, I would say, right? Uneven. The referees didn't seem to want to have much of an effect, although with that in mind, they had the effect because they weren't calling stuff. I think both teams were upset about it in the first half. Perhaps the Nuggets had more gripe than the other team, but they were up, so they needed to fight through it. I don't know if you could explain the 3-point shooting in the first half. It was really not good, Bob.
The question that I have for you is on that Max Strus play when he tried to dunk it. You always hear people say hand is part of the ball. Is that actually the case when it comes to the rule book?
It is. It is. If your hand is in contact with the ball, you can make contact with the hand. And if you're on the shot and then it becomes any part of the wrist is where, you get the foul. Mm-hmm. So I actually didn't see the replay. I was busy doing this other live show and doing stuff. So I didn't see the replay. Did he get it was a hand? Is that what he did? Not the ball?
Yeah, he actually got the bucket somehow. It one of those dunks where you don't actually dunk it. It kind of like you lose the ball and then it turns into a layup off the backboard in some form or fashion. So he did that. He was upset because he felt like he got fouled, but it looked like it was mostly hand from KCP, I believe.
Yeah. No, if it's in contact with the ball, then you're allowed to hit the hand for sure. That is a thing. And a lot of great defensive plays, by the way, out there.
The team's playing super hard, obviously. I mean, it's the NBA Finals, but I mean, this was like high intensity to the highest degree.
Yeah, and I know like Jimmy ran out of bullets, but there was a second there where I thought he wasn't going to and kind of keep them because it was weird. They had a 7-point lead going down toward the stretch. It felt like it was over, and then all of a sudden they get the 3-point shot. By the way, that foul that they called and they reviewed on the corner 3-point shot by Butler. It's outside the last 2-minute report, so we're not going to get a more of an analysis on that. But it did go to Secaucus. They did review it a whole bunch of times. And listen, it's funny. I advocate for the kind of leg kick out that we see here is very natural. You're moving to your right and you're rotating in the air, and your legs flow out. And sometimes the right leg will kick out a little farther to control that rotation. We normally don't see that being recognized as much by the referees. I feel like they'll call that, or they won't call a foul. Or you can almost call an offensive. But it did feel like Jimmy initiated the contact with his foot, right? I don't know. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, I think a little bit. I think, when it's an unnatural shooting motion, that's what you have to go by. And it felt a little bit unnatural with the leg kick. But I do feel like in general, NBA players aren't doing it as much now, right? Since they cracked down on it.
You're not going to see them kicking it out to get the contact. But Jimmy, every shot he takes on the right side of the floor, he kicks his right leg out. If you notice that, it's a weird thing where you do it, and I'll teach it when you're running hard to your right and you pull up and you're rotating and you kick it out to control that turn. He does it on like spot ups where he's not even moving. It's weird. And he'll like land on his left foot only. So that's his thing. They must have taken all that into consideration and gave him that call and gave him the review on it too. It was just a little bit weird only because it's like he kind of kicks him in the groin area, Aaron Gordon. And, I'm not even sure it really affected much. But I suppose there's your thing. You can't be that close, but you're supposed to be able to get close to try and, contest. It was weird. But let's get to our first super chat, because if you want your question answered, the best way to do that is to do the super chat on YouTube. We'll give you a lot of hype and love and thanks. And it's a great way to just interact with us and get your stuff on the screen. So best friend of the breakdown, Braun, the Canadian, thank you so much. And he doesn't even have a question. He just wants to say, I appreciate you and Combo's coverage these playoffs. Braun, we appreciate you, and we've always looked forward to seeing you in our comments every live show, right? He's been there for us.
Yeah, man.
And I'm sorry I called you a hoser multiple times, but you are from Canada, and that's what we say to people from Canada. So thank you so much for your super chat. Really, really generous. And, I'm going to probably get a little choked up here because this is the last, post-game live show we're going to have this year.
Yeah, it is. I guess we got to wait till next year unless we do draft or summer league or something to that effect.
Yeah, we'll do all of those ththings. WNBA we could try and do. But which, by the way, reminds me that we should be doing these more during the regular season as well. Now, I know you got to keep you up a little bit, but we don't have to do one every other day, but we'll try and do them where, we can keep this going because I love the post-game shows. To me are the best, and I think everyone, timing-wise, works the best for everybody too.
Totally agree.
So what else do we have here to talk about in the game? Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah, he showed up. He showed up. I mean, towards the end of the game, he finally hit a three. The shooting wasn't there, but I think for him, it was more the energy than anything else, right? He showed a lot of energy in this game, even though it wasn't the most efficient game. He struggled. He struggled this entire finals, but he didn't look discouraged in this game. As I said, he showed a lot of energy, and he helped his team win a championship as the third best player on a championship team at the age of, I think, of 25. So it's quite incredible.
Now, he played 34 minutes. They benched him down the stretch. He was not in the game. They had Bruce Brown in for him. And he was 7
which was great. Yeah.
1 for 6, but he had 13 rebounds.
Yeah.
And 3 assists and 16 points. So he was fine, but defensively, I wasn't really happy with what he was doing either. There's a thing with him that I need to really kind of break out a little bit more with more focus. I don't know if he knows their offense that well. I kind of feel like in the back of my brain, I was noticing sort of more and more, they'll come out of a timeout and he just is in the wrong spot. He's looking around and he's just in the way. He doesn't know what they're doing. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I really want to take a deep dive and look because I feel like there's something there. And does that feel at all like you recognize that?
I feel like you're right, but I also feel there's cases in basketball when that one guy doesn't really know what he's doing, but he's like an absolute bucket getter. I mean, usually they're like a sixth man off the bench that, it's beneficial because the defense can't really get used to what that player is doing. So,
I guess.
It could be a pro or a con, but I definitely see what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it also reminds me of Serge Ibaka was a little very similar where I don't know if there was a language barrier or what, but he would simply come out of these timeouts for OKC and just have no idea what they're running. And the only problem with that is if you're the point guard, you're whatever, it gets frustrating because you're trying to go somewhere and he's looking around and he's in the way and he's not where he's supposed to be. It's frustrating.
Here's the question. Who's the point guard of this team?
Of this team?
Mm-hmm.
Of the Denver Nuggets? Well, Jamal Murray is the lead guard, right? But, I guess you have to call Jokic the point guard, right?
Yeah, I think they both take on the responsibilities, right? And during the regular season, you'd see Aaron Gordon taking up the ball, Bruce Brown bringing up the ball. I think this is the future of basketball. And I think we're going to see more Jokic-type players. Not as good as Jokic. I'm not saying it. But we're going to see more and more of this. Once you see a team win a championship, there's going to be a lot of copycatting going on. Yeah. And we'll see more of big men initiating offense.
I also think when you see Jokic grab the rebound and push, even at 75% speed, it creates a lot of mismatches, and it allows that's why Draymond is so great with the Warriors, is because all of a sudden now you have Clay and Steph just filling lanes and spreading the floor instantly versus having to come back for an outlet pass. I've always, even when I was coaching the high school level, I loved to be able to have the rebounder just go because ultimately it kind of felt like it was faster than pivoting, throwing the outlet. The guy catches it, and then he has to get going top speed. By that time, even though the pass does go far faster than a runner, by that time, oftentimes you could be pretty close to that at top speed down the middle of the floor, and now defense isn't ready for that. So I think it is beneficial. And by the way, you now have those guys who would have been coming back and receiving and being stationary. They're now 20 feet farther down the court than they would have been by the time that happened. So it's really big. I think more teams need to realize that for their big guys. It's the Clint Capellas, right, who don't get any chance to put the ball on the ground or do anything else like that. Maybe they can. I don't know. But let's get to some super chats. We got Nikhil Attar. Nikhil's been around since the beginning of B-Ball Breakdown, and it's really great to see him out there. The most positive guy I've ever been around and read and heard from. And his question is, do you think the Nuggets would have beaten the Warriors? We were a 15-point fourth quarter from Walker away from a different timeline. A 15-point fourth quarter from Walker. Which is Walker?
I don't know.
Which Walker? Kemba Walker? No. 15-point fourth quarter from Walker.
What Walker Kessler? Utah Jazz?
I don't know. Which Walker are we talking about? Anyway, but would the Nuggets have beaten the Warriors? So let's just talk about, I guess, last year, right? The last year's Warriors team.
Right?
Oh,
I didn't know if he was talking about like if this year's Warriors team made the finals. I don't know.
Well, let's try. Let's just pretend it's last year's. I mean, they don't, that Warriors team last year or this year would not have really had an answer. I know they have Kevon Looney, but I need to look at some of those regular season matchups. I just can't imagine him being able to do a lot with Jokic. But then again, they let him score and try and shut down everybody else. But I don't know if they could have done that.
I think a better way to attack Jokic if you have the personnel is if you have a stretch big, right? Like Draymond is kind of similar to Bam in the sense is they don't shoot it that well and they're kind of like hubs, like passers from the top. So I think like almost like somebody of the Cat archetype, not saying Cat because he obviously has his issues in the playoffs, but if somebody could really stretch it, I think that would put more pressure on Denver's defense, a big that could stretch it.
But let's not forget what made Cat really unfair was when he was playing the 5.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, and he couldn't do that this past year.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
So that
precisely.
was
precisely.
Yeah, and that was a big difference. And they were making it kind of work, but no, it was weird. But anyhow,
that's like how about the KD Warriors? I mean, what would Denver have done defensively with KD at the 5? Oh my God.
Yeah. No,
I guess they would put him on Draymond when Draymond was playing, right? They put Jokic on Draymond.
Yeah.
That'd be all right. Yeah.
That would be okay. I mean, kind of. I mean, it would be tough, but like this, by the way, the defensive rating of the Nuggets in the playoffs this year would have ranked them 5th in overall in the regular season. They really tightened up the defense. And part of that is just because Jokic doesn't really play a lot of defense in the regular season. He wants to protect himself from fouls and getting injured. So he does a little stuff, but you can tell there's a difference as he ratchets up his energy level. And the other thing that's interesting is he can force misses around the rim without having to jump and contest. He strips the ball all the time. And he got a bunch of strips in the first half, but even when you miss and you don't get it, and you get air, the movement of the ball away from that hand and then trying to get it back up could force misses. So he's really good at that, and as long as he doesn't miss and like nail the guy's wrists and get cheap fouls, it is another way you can use to protect the rim without having to get up in the air. It's really impressive on his end with the quick hands.
I always notice like bad players do that, if that makes sense. Like players that can't really play, just always swiping.
I mean, it shouldn't be. Look at Steph Curry does that all the time. Steph Curry swipes and digs. Dares the referee to call the foul. They're not going to call it every time. I know I taught it. I didn't teach it as much that we called it the Chicago swipe. The Chicago. What would I have? It was just a long time ago because we learned growing up that that's what you're trying to do is as you're sliding the guy's driving, you're waiting, and then you try and just. And the way we taught it was the hand goes out and then comes back towards you, not up and down where you get fouls. And if you miss, you get a foul because it looks too overt. So it's up, and as he's coming up, and you get it, he brings the ball up into your hand, basically. The Chicago swipe, is that we had a cool name for it, and it's a lot of the Chicago guards would do that, and it really is effective. It really can cause guys to have to keep the ball away, and now you're in a weird position and awkward to try and finish. At the high school level, it really works, and I think Jokic proved that tonight that it works at the NBA level too. Let's get to our next super chat, but thank you, Nikhil. N Starks 007. Thank you. And fist back to you. Something about slow Europeans that confuses the NBA. Laugh out loud. This means Luka Finals MVP 2025 up next. I pray. So happy for Jamal coming back from injury. I would have been a little bit happier for Jamal if he had played better. I mean, his first half was really a stinker. I think on both ends. I just feel like he was getting abused by Jimmy and then couldn't hit a shot.
And let's not forget about MPJ's back injuries. I think he's had multiple back surgeries. So for him to come back from that and be a contributor on a championship team, a starter, their third best player, just absolutely phenomenal. And I feel like on this live show, we're not even praising the Nuggets enough, right? I mean, they just won an NBA title, even though Jokic is acting like he just wants to get back home. I mean, it really is an impressive title from such a young team that has such a bright future.
Oh, I've been fighting people all day on Twitter by saying that I believe at some point we're going to look back on this team and realize it was an all-time great team. And part of that, and what people were freaking out about was, it's like, well, you got to win like 2 in a row for you to get into that conversation, right? And that's probably true. But I don't care who they beat to get here, because again, they can't control that. And they dispatched who they dispatched in a way that indicates to me that they are a great team. You have an all-time center. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that Jokic is going to be an all-timer when it's all said and done. He will be a top 10 player in the league all time, right? Something like that. The top 10 is going to get massively rewritten in the next like 20 years, right? You're going to have to get, there's going to, if you can believe, like Wilt Chamberlain, some of those guys are going to end up getting pushed down, and you're probably not going to be able to argue it anymore. When the KDs retire and you know, like guys like Jokic and LeBron's, it's like there's not going to be room for like Bird and Magic, you know what I mean? In the top 10, at some point, there's not going to be room for them. I can't believe I'd even begin to say that. But anyway, all-timer in Jokic, you know, the way Murray had been playing until tonight was as good as anybody, right? We saw it from him, as good as any guard we're going to see in the playoffs. That was as good as you're going to play. Great supporting cast. I know it's a small rotation, but still, they fit together so well. This is a team that's really, really good.
Excellent team. They have a decentralized type style of offense. It doesn't rely on just Jamal or just Jokic initiating offense. Great culture building in every sense of the word. And they did it the right way. They didn't name chase. They built through the draft. They built through free agency. And I think this is actually the future of the NBA. I think we're in a new era where teams will look more like the Nuggets than, let's say, like the Nets, who just tried to put some stars together.
Yes, exactly. The chemistry is really important. It's certainly at the top when you have Jamal Murray and Jokic playing so many years together, and then you can throw MPJ in there. Who else? KCP has been there for what, 2 years now?
Yeah, I mean, they lost Jeremy Grant and got Aaron Gordon, who was even a better fit for this team. So that was a phenomenal pickup. And, you know, there was actually a time period when Aaron Gordon was first acquired by the Nuggets in a trade and Jamal Murray was still healthy, that they were showing flashes of this team. They were the best team in basketball. It was a small sample size, but you could see it even back then.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so, so Aaron Gordon has been there for 2.5 years. KCP has been there for the same, or maybe 2. Where is it? How come I can't find it? Contavious. There he is. Let's see. KCP got there. Actually, no, this is his first year. My goodness, I'm losing my mind. He was in Washington last year. So that was impressive for KCP to be able to blend in. But then again, that's the kind of player he is that blends in really, really well for them. So let's see. I'm kind of curious. He had a couple shots down the stretch, though, that were big, because I thought he played not so great either tonight, KCP.
Yeah, he made some outstanding hustle plays. And one thing about KCP, that guy is fast, man. Like, did you see him on that hustle play?
Right. He is fast in that layup.
Yeah, he is an athlete. He's an athlete. Bruce Brown, too. Those guys are athletes.
He's tough. He can shoot it, you know, and he hit a couple shots, but like, you know, he had a couple. He's had a number of like really confounding fouls in this playoff series that were just like, what are you doing? And then another one there where I know Mike Malone was trying to even argue it, but it was like, I don't know, it was a pretty clear foul. He was in a position where he shouldn't have been on a handoff or whatever, and it's not the first time. So you know, interesting. There was a moment there we had a wasted dive by the Heat, and it looked like they were going to get punished, but then they got a steal because the guys tried to skip it to the left corner. I mean, that was a crazy sequence, and that was sort of exemplary of how much energy everyone was giving out, and they were laying it all out there. Everybody was trying to do whatever they could to make this thing happen. So it's not surprising the game would have been a little bit uglier that way. But what a game! I mean, Larry says it right. What a game! Even though I can tell you it was ugly for a lot of it, but it was also exhilarating.
Yeah. I mean, if you talk to anybody that works in the NBA, they'll tell you how hard winning an NBA championship actually is. But Coach Jake, do you feel like this seemed like, I don't know, I don't want to say easy, but man, they kind of like just rolled through competition in a way, even though they had some tough, close games.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's what I'm saying is, and everyone's going to, or people are going to point to the fact that this is an 8th seed, but this was not an 8th seed. This was a team that went to the conference finals last year. They have finals experience from the year 2020, whatever that was.
Yeah, bubble. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was not, you know, a team that really was a real 8th seed. The Lakers are, were really, really, really good. I know LeBron was hurt, whatever, a little bit, but AD was not and was outplayed thoroughly. So they can't control that. And as a result, because you might want to say that the competition wasn't up to the level that people wanted it to be, well, they dispatched it as they should have to be a great all-time great team. So no question that they steamrolled the way they were supposed to. And, they had a couple tough ones because those are always knockout games are always very tough, but they got it done.
Who do you think gives them their most competition next season? I guess there's going to be so many moves to be made, right? In between now and then.
We're talking about Lonnie Walker. That's who we were talking about from this year. Now I'm looking at the comments from back then, not Kemba. Lonnie Walker. Remember Lonnie had that big game. Right. Had he not had that game, they wouldn't have made it. Right?
Yeah.
That was big for them. Anyway, what were you saying?
Yeah. Who do you think's their biggest competition for next season? Obviously, there's going to be some offseason moves that will be made. People are actually talking Dame to Miami, and I just got done saying how teams won't be name chasing anymore. But when you have culture in place already, I don't think it's the worst idea to bring in Dame Lillard. It'd just be interesting in who they could package for him.
Right. Well, I mean, he would replace Lowry, right? I mean, that's
yeah, but you would have to make a trade that makes sense for the Blazers and the competition of people trying to get Dame as well, if Dame wants to leave at all.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I would probably try and maybe put Hero on that package.
Yeah, I'm sure Portland would want Bam, but I don't think Dame would be happy with that.
Yeah. Can they get it done? Can they get a trade done without giving up Bam? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of draft capital they have either.
Yeah, Butler and Dame. I don't know. That's a tough one. But who else would challenge them? Let's see here. I mean, Minnesota hasn't, I wish they could, make a big trade again and get back to what was making them so good. They could be that one of those teams that's going to be really tough. Same with Memphis, but Memphis is not going to have Ja for half the season, at least probably. New Orleans could be another team. And some of these teams are building something, but it's all contingent on certain things. The Clippers, again, I mean, I don't really have any faith that Paul George and Kawhi could stay healthy long enough, but if they ever did, they would be there. And the Lakers too. If LeBron is, it's hard to imagine a 39-year-old LeBron having the kind of impact he can. But if his foot is better, then there are a number of teams. The Nuggets, were able to capitalize. By the way, I was looking at it. They kind of took it easy the last month of the season. They went 7-9. They weren't playing Jokic a lot. They weren't playing a lot of starters. So that's why they only won 53 games. They would have won almost 60, no problem, I'm sure.
Jokic, all of a sudden stats went downhill when he heard he was stat padding. It's almost like he wanted to prove people wrong.
I guess so. Yeah, that happens. But let's get to our next super chat, because this is from SJ with the Juan, I think. I don't know how much that is, but it's a lot of Juan. Is team style B-ball get more coverage now that Denver won and Jokic's style definitely works? There was concern about finals viewership, and it was kind of disturbing when people like Dan Patrick kept saying Jokic is boring. I mean, I agree. I don't understand how you'd say with the passing that he can throw and the touch he has in the post. It's funny. We kind of lament that we went away from the post ups and the good footwork, and then here comes the guy that does that, and now we're not going to recognize that. Very, very strange that people wanted to kind of tear down Denver like they did. But what do you think? Is this going to? Who are the teams that play like Denver now?
I mean, you're talking about teams that basically don't play a heliocentric style of play. So the Warriors, the Kings, the Heat, even decentralized offense. Who else we got in the mix there? I don't know. It's definitely not Boston. It's definitely not the Mavs. It's definitely not the Hawks. It's definitely not the Sixers. It's not the Bucks.
Not the Suns.
No, not. I mean, unless CP3 moves away and it's not the Suns because they play ISO ball.
I mean, really, it's like the handoffs, right? If we were to go on Synergy right now and just check who has the most handoffs, we could do that real quick if you wanted to. Let me just let's do.
It's less heliocentric and more read and react.
Yeah. Wait. Let me see. Do we have handoffs in the play types? No, I'm losing my mind. This is where they do. Well, dribble handoffs. All right. So let's go to dribble handoffs right now, and let's look at the teams in the. Am I stuck in the playoffs? Yeah, let me do regular season. In the regular season this year, the percentage of time, here are the teams that lead in handoffs, which I think is not a bad, way to look at this. The Kings, The Spurs, the Warriors, Heat. Okay.
The teams I named.
The Magic and the Jazz. Portland. So where is Denver? Denver is only 10th? That's bizarre. Denver, according to this, only finished plays off the handoff 5.4% of the time. Now, if we went to the playoffs, I bet you Denver goes up a lot. Let's see here. Denver, let's see here. Where are they? Denver went up to 7.2%, right? So when they really started running their offense the right way and executing everybody playing in those 20 games, 7 points. That's a big jump. It's a 50% jump practically in handoffs. So we're seeing that. We're seeing more and more teams. And really what it comes down to are like, who are the teams that are throwing the ball and then chasing their own pass back for the handoff? That's really one of the keys, right? And it's a real triangle, real Princeton kind of offense of action. So that to me has always been really exciting. And I can't get over how much I love when the Heat do that handoff and then do the quick pocket pass back. Love that action. It's so hard to guard.
I mean, you're a real basketball guy, Coach Nick. So I don't think maybe the general fan, the person that tunes in for just the playoffs and the finals, care about all that. Like we're basketball guys, so it's a little bit different. I don't think like a person who watches every sport and kind of just like, season by season is going to care about like who's playing decentralized offense, who's playing heliocentric ball, who is giving handoffs. You know what I mean?
You don't think they're going to gravitate toward like quick ball movement and player movement and all that kind of stuff? That's not interesting.
Yeah, it sounds like fun to me. But I think, when it's kind of true. Like when you do have a star like Jokic, it's not like having like, I don't know, like a LeBron James, a Michael Jordan, even like an eccentric character like Ja Morant, even though, he obviously has other things going on right now. He's like, he's a quiet guy, goes to work, goes home. It's not as fun for the what's the fan that's like not that into it? What's the right way to say it? I don't know.
Fair weather fan or
fair weather. Yeah.
Casual.
Yeah. Casual. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good points. All right. Let's get to our next super chat. We have a few here to catch up to. Where is our best friend of the breakdown? Barth, 3,400. Barth, thank you so much from Canada. Is Jokic now the greatest European player ever because he got his title versus like, I guess Luka would be the only other option, right?
Dirk ever. He said.
Yeah. Is Jokic better than Dirk?
Yeah, I think so. You know what? But personally, I just like the way Jokic plays basketball better than Dirk, even though Dirk was great. So I'm probably like the wrong person to ask. But even from like an unbiased lens, I would have to say Jokic. Yeah,
because Jokic has the scoring like Dirk had the scoring. And then Jokic has a whole other level of passing.
Better post-up player, like low post-up player.
Yeah, I mean, Dirk would do that too. And he had that, the Dirk leg. But yeah, I would probably, I would put Jokic above Dirk at this point.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so great question, but it really interesting. And again, there's going to be another couple. I mean, the next best player again is going to be from Europe or not from America, probably.
So wait, we also, I mean, Giannis is from Europe.
Yeah.
So I mean,
all the best players are from somewhere else now.
So are we putting Jokic above Giannis?
Oh, interesting. That's the one we don't usually. We usually do Embiid and Jokic. We don't usually do Giannis and Jokic.
Yeah. I don't know.
Wow. That's interesting because Giannis has the defensive stuff above Jokic.
Yeah, I like Jokic's game better. I feel he's better. But, I mean, Giannis just won a championship and had a 50-piece. He did. But, if you're
talking about skill, you got to go with Jokic.
Oh, I mean, skill. I mean, it's just pure skill. Giannis isn't even, I don't know, top 7 in the league, top 10 in the league, right? Just skill level, just straight skill.
I'm going to take that clip. I'm going to put it on Twitter and then step back and watch it burn. Because if I try to say that, I think I wouldn't have any followers left.
Why? I'm just talking about skill. Now, skill isn't the only thing in basketball. It's the most important.
Giannis is the most dominant, one of the most dominant players.
Yeah, it's the most important skill in basketball. No, it's the most important thing in terms of like development of a player, but it's not everything.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. I don't know. I must be. I have Giannis. What's the word? Not fatigue. When you are when you're like you fight a war and you come back and you have flashbacks and whatever. PTSD. I got like, PTSD.
Like Kat is more skilled than Giannis, but Giannis is way better.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I hear you. All right. Well, let's get to the Drew Show. Friend of the breakdown, the Drew Show. Thank you. MPJ showed up, exclamation point, still got benched in crunch time for Brown. That's what I was saying. He did show up. He hit a three finally because he was really bad all three long. Even the three he hit, if you notice, I pointed out in the live show I had during the game, he like bent his legs on the way up in the weird kicking out thing where he just wasn't comfortable, right? He just didn't look like he could get it. The ball was a clean swish, so give him the credit for it. But here's the thing about hanging in the air. Like I kind of like, I blanch at that when I see guys like Caleb Martin or I see, MPJ doing this. It's hard to shoot that way. Now, Michael Porter Jr. has hundreds and hundreds of games of macro data to prove that he can do that. He's got calibrated. He can make those shots at a high clip. But when the mental aspect becomes an issue and there's pressure like he had never faced before, it doesn't surprise me that all of a sudden that calibration goes out the window because it has to be pretty perfect for that to make it go in. And then as a result, he was, 4 for 25 in the finals. And it really hurt them. And if he was even anywhere near normal, then it would have been a sweep probably.
Austin Rivers mentioned recently, I shall say, on a podcast that MPJ is the best shooter he ever played with. That was pretty interesting because Austin Rivers played on a good amount of NBA teams.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll have to look at the other players he must have played with, but I just see that. And again, and what does best shooter really mean necessarily? But all I can tell you is that when you see a guy hang in the air like that from 26 feet away, like he does, it's like I'm always amazed. Like when Martin went on his heater, I couldn't believe he'd get any more than 34% of his shots the way he shoots like that. And yet he did, but I bet you he finished probably around there for the finals, right? I think he didn't sustain that all the way through.
Yeah. He had some good flashes. He is super shifty, Caleb Martin.
Oh, yeah, he had a couple drives. He had at least one drive tonight he avoided the charge that Jokic tried to take and stepping up and finished smooth. I mean, he's really come into his own. Like they get a lot of credit anyway for their development, but guys like what Duncan Robinson did, and even though I still think they gave him a raw deal and they should not have benched him the way they did anyway, but you see guys like him and Strus and Gabe Vincent really someone needs a lot of credit for that, and I'm going to go with the Heat development staff.
You should. I mean, I know you love looking at the biomechanics. You should slow down what Caleb Martin does because I don't know if it's his ankle flexibility, but the way how bendy he is and how flexible he is in space.
Yeah.
And the role players, they should be commended. I mean, there was people on major TV platforms they were just going crazy at Max Strus for like 15 minutes straight, like just condemning him and slandering him. And I didn't think it should have took up that much TV time. I don't know.
Yep. Well, Caleb Martin for the finals, according to this, finished with this is 4 games. He's still shooting 45.5% from 3. Gosh, it doesn't feel like he didn't take a lot though, but it didn't seem like he was still on that hot. But yeah, he shot amazing all the whole playoff series, all the playoff rounds. When in the regular season, if you look at it, let's flip this over here. He shot what? Caleb Martin shot 35.6%, which is a little bit below average. So, good for him for getting comfortable and figuring some things out. Okay, let's get to our next super chat from Jalen Glenn. Thank you so much, Jalen. This might be, I think this is your first super chat. Where are we? Yes, thank you so much. Here we go. Thank you. Hey, coach, anyone ever tell you that you look like John Cusack? Your thoughts on the Celtics coach hires? Who else would you add? It's funny. I used to get a lot of different who I looked like when I was younger, and it ran the gamut. It was from like John Turturro to like Bruce Springsteen to. You ever watch Billy from Melrose Place? Is that what it is, Billy?
Mm-mm.
You never watched Melrose Place? You're too young. Andrew Shue. That was my most normal one, which is really funny because Andrew Shue's sister Elizabeth Shue, who was an original Karate Kid, looks like my sister. So I've been dying to see what the Shue parents look like and see if they look like my parents because it was very uncanny. But John Cusack, I don't think I've ever really gotten, maybe a couple times. And by the way, we're both from Chicago, and I came up through the improv route, which is and John Cusack was in the orbit. He's a little older than I am, but kind of knew who he was from an early age because he was an actor. Do you know who John Cusack is?
I heard the name.
Like he was in every blockbuster for a while. But how about Con Air? Remember that movie?
Yeah,
So he's in that, but he's also in the, like some of his a great movie like how about Say Anything? You ever see Say Anything?
I mean, I could easily just Google him, right?
Yeah, but Say Anything is a great movie about like a high school romance. You know, that's a Cameron Crowe movie. You know, he's also in a great movie called High Fidelity. Takes place in Chicago. He's a record store owner. Jack Black is in that. You must know Jack Black, right?
Yes.
Jack Black is probably his best role he's ever been in High Fidelity, and John Cusack's a star. Great movie. So listen. That's a high compliment. So thank you, Jalen. My thoughts on the Celtics coach hires. So they brought in Lee, Charles Lee, and I think that's going to help because when I looked at it the other day and you realize who he lost, who Missoula lost. He lost Sotomayor. Oh my goodness, 2 other coaches with a lot of experience, all like right before the season started, whatever. They didn't have a chance to really replace him. That's hard. That's a lot of brain drain right there that he didn't have to help back him up. So this will help. And is there anybody else they hired? Besides,
did they hire Sam Cassell? Am I bugging out?
Oh yeah, now? That's right, Sam Cassell. So that's big. So those 2 are really going to help him. And here's the only problem is they're going to fire Missoula and just let Sam Cassell take over. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting and could be true.
If you're bringing him in, he's got a lot of experience. He's been on the short list for a while now on different head coaching jobs. Although I don't know if I even heard about him in any of the ones that came up this year. So yeah, you have to wonder. I'm always concerned when a guy like that joins your staff. If I was a head coach and that's an assistant of mine, like Frank Vogel has the same problem when he had oh my goodness, who
Darvin Ham.
Well, was it Darvin Ham? No. Is it Frank Vogel? Anyway, maybe it wasn't Frank Vogel, but somebody else it happened to. And by the way, David Blatt was one when they had Ty Lue, was the highest paid assistant in the league, and who also interviewed for the head coaching job. And instead of getting him the head coach, they gave him the assistant coach. That was weird, and the writing was on the wall. So yeah, that
team did not get along with David Blatt. That's for sure.
Yeah, he didn't help himself without question, but if he could have figured something out there, he would have won the title instead of Ty Lue. But I think, right? I mean, like I know they had to come back from down 3-1, but it was pretty much the same team doing this very similar things.
They love David Blatt in Israel. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
they were upset at LeBron when all that went down, but it is what it is. Yeah.
Well, let's see. And then who else would I add? I mean, I think that's good. I think Cassell and Lee are good, fits there. And that's probably, about all they're going to do in the margins. So we have to find out if they're going to do anything else personnel wise. I suppose they're going to shop and see if they can get a good deal for Jaylen Brown.
Yeah. Did you see the clip of KG and T-Mac talking about how like players are overtrained and they're making the game too complicated and there's too many ISO dribble move combos?
I didn't see it, but okay.
Yeah.
I could probably I understand that. I mean, look at the best players. Even like Curry has gotten away from all the multi-dribble combo stuff and became more efficient and whatever. That way, as he got older, doesn't do a lot of that stuff anymore. And is he better? Like probably to some degree. Although he's wasn't great this year, but
Steph was great this year, don't you think?
You know what? I don't even remember.
Yeah. No, he was pretty.
He wasn't great in the last round. I think that was.
Okay. In the regular season, I mean, he was.
Yeah, he was great in the regular season. Yeah. So you're right. So again, in a much more efficient way, where you just have to waste a lot of extra energy with that stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I hear you. I would have liked to have been able to have.
No, it wasn't me. You're not hearing me. You're hearing.
Oh, I know. I hear you. Like, you got to wonder, like, does T-Mac just feel like, oh, I wish I could have been able to do that, and now I'm mad that because I didn't. I'm gonna just
It's always like a fine line. Is it like an old head conversation or is it like truth?
Yeah. And meanwhile, I can do an edit of T-Mac doing all that stuff.
What did you say?
All sorts of multi-dribble ISOs all over the place.
Yeah, I guess there wasn't the multitude of step back dribbles then as there was now. You know who had like a nice step back? Larry Bird. Nobody talks about that. I was watching some film lately. He had a few of them.
Huh. I'm trying to picture my mind's eye.
Yeah, go back and watch a video. He was doing it pretty often.
Well, and remember, he doesn't need a vertical dip for the power anyway, so that when you're doing those and you're getting that dip from like behind your head and forward, you can still generate that power no matter what direction you're going, which is kind of nice.
How similar were you feel like Jokic's form and Bird's form? Bird's was definitely quicker.
But Jokic is more on top of his head and Bird is more to the side.
Okay.
But there's something there. Yeah, high release and whatever. But obviously Ben Bird was just 100 times quicker on his.
Oh yeah.
So that was part of it. But and out of the hand, it was really pretty out of the hand, even though it was to the side of a Bird. I gotta look more at Jokic's outside jumper. We don't see it a lot of the time, so I gotta kind of study it a little better. But there's something there. But yeah, it's just a little bit different in terms of where the set point is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go to our next. We got a bunch of super chats to catch up to here. My goodness, they all came in at once here. Let's see here. The Drew Show, always a multiple super chatter. Thank you so much. I really think. Breaking: Kevin Durant wants trade to Denver. I think he's joking in the way that he wanted to get traded to the Warriors after the Warriors won, or no, I'm sorry, the Warriors lost. So that doesn't quite hold up. But I think the point remains that Kevin Durant kind of takes a jump to other, what he thinks is a better situation.
Yeah, he moves around a lot, but so do a lot of the stars in the modern game. Look at Harden, look at Westbrook, look at Durant. Even LeBron played on 3 teams, so it is what it is.
Yeah, and now I'm sorry,
Kyrie.
I just saw that. Hang on, we got to send an email out. Chris is lurking out there. Let's send him the invite here. Now let's get to another super chat because I think Drew Show's got another breaking news here. Breaking news: KD's burner accounts deny rumors. Right. Well, okay then. I wonder how many KD burner accounts there are these days.
Oh, probably a bunch.
Yeah. Anyhow, all right. Well, thank you, Drew. Really appreciate it.
Look, I never had a burner, but it sounds like fun though, actually.
Yeah, and we have another first time super chat. My goodness, so generous. Thank you so much, B Wallfall. Would you ever consider doing more breakdowns of classic games from the 70s or 80s? So he says more breakdowns because he must know that I've done them a lot. And absolutely, I will try and get to some this offseason. I don't know what happened the last few years. But I love doing them. And now that I'm in the mode of doing game breakdowns from the playoffs, it's like, yeah, let's get to some more game stuff, individual games from back in the day. I probably even have, even some of my DVR right now. I got to capture and edit down. So yes, for sure, great question. And I want to get into. I want to go back in the 50s, even in 60s. We'll find some really interesting stuff there that we see today. Even like the same kind of offensive actions. All that high post split stuff is from the 60s.
They have full games from the 50s on YouTube.
It's harder from then, but they used to have more. And I had a library, and then plugged in. I had a DVR or a hard drive plugged into my DVR. An extra one, like way back in the day, and it fell. It just started screaming one day, and then broke. And I had all these old games on there from every time, all different eras. But YouTube does have some stuff, so I could probably cobble it together. But I do know that classic NBA TV is still on. I feel like my DVR the other day I saw, there's a whole bunch that was recording without me even, as a season pass to it. So, all right, let's get to Cuckoo Bluff. This is another first time. Let's do another. No, that's not a good one. Thank you. This is the first super chat is from Cuckoo. Thank you so much, Cuckoo Bluff. More shekels to Brother Salop. All righty. You got some shekels there.
I do not know who that is, but he must know me from somewhere. So
yeah.
Salute to you, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for the shekels.
That's right.
L'chaim.
Toda rabah. The Drew Show is back. The breaking Kyrie heliocentrism is conspiracy. All right. That's another one that's funny.
Don't tell that to my guy Seth Partnow. I think he coined the term, so it's not a conspiracy.
What? Heliocentric?
Heliocentric offense.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
But why are you calling him Seth Partnow? Is that is that a funny way of saying his last name?
That's how I always said it whenever he's been
because before he was your guy, he was my guy.
Well, sorry.
We can
shout to Seth. He'd be great to have on as a guest on this live show.
All right. Should we invite him right now? All right, we can have him on, but definitely. We have to have Chris on first. Chris, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Representing Duke tonight. I don't know if we can handle that. That might not be okay.
I'm sorry.
So
Wisconsin.
Where does Kyrie rank as an all-time Duke player? That's my question.
He was a top 5 guy for me, but
he didn't play it.
What did he play? Like 7 games?
Yeah,
11 games.
You had to read it on what he did at Duke, right? And
that's a good video for the offseason. Kyrie Irving at Duke.
Oh, is there even enough, even for him in the 7 games, to do anything from it?
Yeah.
Well, it's 11 games, and it's 11. Mainly most of the highlights is from the Michigan State.
Did he deserve
game
to go number 1 off 7 games? It's a good video.
Yeah, he did. He was clearly the best player. He got by his guy every single time. No, it wasn't fair.
It was funny though, because people were like, "Why are they taking him?" You know, people like who didn't really weren't in the know. They were like, "What? Like, what's going on?" Yeah.
Yeah.
I recently heard a story of Derek Williams, who went number 2 in that draft. He would not work out against Kawhi Leonard. Like they could not get him in for a workout to work out against him, which kind of makes sense if you kind of how things played out now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially because I think even at that point, Kawhi had the defensive reputation, right? They're like, and you know, you get those workouts. You don't want to go up against the guy.
Another video idea is Kawhi, like his progression from rookie season to his championship year, like how he got better every year. Yeah, that's really interesting because he took some crazy leaps.
I called it too, so I took so much crap from I had an early take on that on Twitter about Kawhi being going to be an all-star or whatever, and people, people are mean. Really.
Did you think he was going to be the best player on a championship team?
Boy, I have to remember now
that level.
The comments might remember. It was pretty like whatever it was, and you know how on Twitter I'm different. Like I get out there, like today Denver could be an all-time great team. And I'm not. But listen, I had the Harrison Barnes one that was really off, right? When I thought Harrison Barnes was going to be the best player on the Warriors after the 2013 season, but again, that was before Steph became Steph. Like we didn't know. But I know I was pretty bombastic with what my take on Kawhi, where he's going to be. I definitely had a thing where he was going to be great. Maybe I can look it up while someone's talking just now, if I can figure out how to do the.
I think you just type your @name and then Kawhi after.
I want to do it.
No, you got to do it on the desktop to search old tweets.
I'll do that in a second. I mean, I'm assuming that the advanced Twitter search still works.
They should have it on They should have it on mobile though. It's annoying that you got to.
I know.
I've done it on mobile.
You've done it on mobile.
If you know how to do it on mobile, you can type it in like with a certain from whatever. You can do it with like the weird keywords, but like I don't remember how to do that. You always forget.
Just search in the search bar, just type your name, your @name, and then Kawhi after. And it'll bring up every single tweet.
Yeah, but
are you sure?
And then you can scroll forever, but like you can also target a certain time frame if you wanted to, which is quick.
Yeah, that too. You can do the time frame thing. Okay, yeah.
On desktop, but you can do it on a mobile if you know what all that code. That's the code.
Well,
whatever it is.
Elon got to figure it out, man.
Yeah. Martin Jose, best friend of the breakdown. Thank you, Martin. Jamal Murray got to make All-Star team next season. I mean, for sure he deserves to be an all-star, right?
He might take another leap next year, which is kind of crazy to say, like because he'll be fully healthy from the first game out.
Yeah. His career is really weird just because of he's had slow starts to seasons, and then for the past 2 seasons he had the knee ACL thing. So like he should have been an all-star probably. You could probably say like 3 years ago, but it's just
but it's also too many guards.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, you're competing like they put Luka as a guard, right?
Yeah, he's definitely a guard. Yeah. Right, Shea Gildish, Devin Booker, Dame, Chris Paul made one like 2 years ago. Like it's tough in the West.
Did you say Steph Curry?
Steph too. I forgot about Steph. Like it's 4 spots.
SGA.
Yeah, I said SGA. Well, next year, Ant Edwards is going to be. He was this one. Was he one this year?
Is Wemby a guard?
Coach.
Scoop might be.
You think? Well, what do you mean? Like next year?
Nah, he won't be.
No. No, there's a lot of good talent in the West. It's tough, but if he gets to a quick start next year, I can see him being an all-star. But he's definitely a playoff riser. Definitely.
I think Jokic would be more than happy letting Jamal Murray be considered the best player of that team. I think it wouldn't bother him at all, even though it won't happen because Jokic is that great.
Did you see the clip of LeBron picking like Jokic second to last in the All-Star?
Yo, you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy about that? I don't even think he picked him. I think Jokic forced him.
Yeah, he just walked. He just walked out.
He's like, yo, I'm not gonna be last. It was kind of funny.
He's like, Lowry isn't gonna get picked over me.
Yeah.
I seen a stat actually. Now that I mentioned Lowry marketed, he's in top. I think he's a top 5 most efficient player in the mid range. I think. Or points per possession.
What do you guys
think?
Like that? What do you guys think about Kessler?
Kessler Edwards. I think he's gonna be. He's one of the like a modern age big just because he can move his feet on the perimeter.
Yeah.
So he's gonna be really good defensively. Yeah. Anyways, offensively, I don't know if he has the touch to be like a really good offensive player for a big. I think he'll just be okay. He's gonna catch the ball, finish. He's going to be in like the 60s in percentage wise field goal, but
there's Walker Kessler, there's Kessler Edwards. I have to get
Wait, did I get him? Which one?
No, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, you know who's going to be, who could be really good with some all-star potential? Jalen Williams on the Thunder.
Yeah, I got to look at him a little bit more. Someone was telling me about him the other day, and I can't even picture him right now.
Yeah, he's an interesting player because I don't know how to explain this. There's certain guys you can look. Well, for me, I look at their body type, their build, and he kind of has like a weird build. So he doesn't really look like a guy who like stands out to me. But if you actually watch his game, he's pretty skilled for a rookie this year,
and a two-way player.
Yeah. Definitely. He's going to be a really good player. I don't know if he's going to be an all-star in the West.
I mean, this was his first season, and some of the stuff he was doing some pretty impressive stuff this year.
Yeah.
I got one for you guys. Wait, how do I open this? Hang on for 1 second. Let me open this, and I will put this on the screen. Oh, no, that's not it. Where is it? I just took a screenshot. Come on. Oh, here it is. All right, here it is, and let me share this. Here you go. This is one. It's not exactly what I was thinking of, but it's something. I think it's. How about that?
Wow.
2013.
Yeah,
you remember that 2013, Chris?
No, I'm just playing.
Oh.
So there was, and he was on my favorite players list. I could see some other tweets around that time too. So before we got to 13-14, but by the way, that might not even be a big deal because by 2013 they'd already made the finals and should have won right against the Heat, and we're coming back. Yeah. But I swear, a year before that, I was already. I'll have to find it, but there's something there. Anyhow, all right, let's get rid of that one. Let's do this. Let's stop the screen. Okay. Oh my goodness. Where's my stop the screen? Remove. Okay. The Drew Show. Thank you so much. Great season, Coach. We're all in on to next year. But let's not forget, there's a lot of stuff going on all summer long that I'll be busy with doing in terms of, I'll do some retro breakdowns. We'll have some trades, some draft, free agency, all that stuff. Chris, there's somebody named Chris who's asking if they think they fire Missoula. Oh, I think he's responding to somebody else.
Yeah, no, that was me.
But you don't think that they're going to fire Missoula?
I don't think so. I think if they were going to fire him, they would have done it by the end of the season.
They would have already fired him, without question.
Yeah.
But let's get to DTG. Thank you so much. Watching Denver's story unfold over the last few years should give the small market fans among us hope. Take that, mainstream national sports media. I got to tell you, it was a pretty big failure from a lot of the national sports media that I see out there. Their takes on Denver, the dismissal of them. I mean, I know they're probably just trying to get some way to drum up likes and clicks and whatever. But, you got to give people the respect that they deserve.
Yeah, I mean, Milwaukee won like 2 years ago, right? They were a small market team. So it's not like this. If you have they have a top 3, top 5 player at any given point in time. So
I mean, what are the big market teams? Is Golden State even like?
They're big market. They're big market.
I feel like you only call them a big market because of who they have on the team now. But are they actually a big market? Like the Heat aren't a big market, but then people probably felt that way when LeBron and D Wade were there. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the Warriors
because like LeBron is like his own market, and Steph Curry is like his own market. You know.
Well, they moved to San Francisco, so they're definitely a big market now, right? Maybe when they were in Oakland.
I look at like LA, Chicago, New York. Like those are definitely big, like Dallas, Houston.
San Francisco is still, that's a big market too.
Okay,
you got to get that. I think you got to include them. No, like is Miami a big market?
Philly, Boston, definitely.
Yeah, is Miami?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
They don't operate like one. I guess you can kind of
say. Even when you're there, the feel is like more family. I don't know. It's like it's not that big market feel.
All right. Well, we have an interesting comment. I'll throw it up there. I did a breakdown and highlighted Bird's step back years ago. I don't even remember that. I guess I did. So there it is.
You did do a video on Bird. I don't remember the.
So at the end of the day,
I compared him and LeBron.
I think you said he was better or something like that.
It might have said
you said you would lean towards. I think you were comparing the MVP seasons or something like that. I think you said you would lean towards Bird or something like that.
When LeBron only had 2 championships, I mean, it was a conversation.
Yeah, maybe, and it was a while ago. I think my memory only was about the passing, at least, where like the point I tried to make was LeBron throws the pass on time, Bird throws it before the guy's there. Like he sees it even ahead of that.
He passes him open more, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and he leads them more, and it's like he's throwing it before anybody else would be throwing it. And that was the subtle but important difference. It felt like to me. But anyhow, I'll have to go back and try and find that one. But Andrew Zhu, best friend of the breakdown. Thank you, Andrew. Denver's chemistry was perfect. Their role players accepted their roles and were hungry, unlike my Warriors. It's a really good point. Jeff Green played better until he got abused on the defense a little bit. But I thought in game 4, he just was not – he was out of it. Like this wasn't focused. And at least today he gave him some good minutes early. He was scoring nicely on some cuts. And they got what they needed out of him, which is important. To hold it together until they can take control at the end.
Do you know what I think? Like, helped Denver win this game. It was probably 5 minutes left. Someone shoots a 3, and I think they only hit backboard, and Bruce Brown gets the offensive rebound. And puts it back in. I think that was it. Once he got that, I knew Denver was going to win.
That's just, you know what that is? That's an accumulation of good habits over time by Bruce Brown.
It's like they always get these plays that either stop the momentum or continue the momentum for themselves. They have
he did the Lowry
thing,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Lowry does all those little things. He got that tip out that got him the ball again, and guess who didn't block him? Guess who didn't block Bruce Brown out for that rebound? Lowry. Yeah, Lowry went in there. He was mixing it up. He kind of like he was trying to get in there. He wasn't like he didn't go for the rebound, but he didn't get anywhere near his man that just waltzed right in there for that putback. So that really killed him. It's tough because he's usually really good about that stuff. And it's hard to sort of every time to do it. But if the coaching staff's going to look at the Heat coaching staff's going to go through the film, they're going to look at that and be like, listen, Lowry was great for them and really did well offensively and did things they needed him to do. But again, that's probably the position I want to upgrade if I could. A younger version of that, someone who can do more athletically now. And Lowry could probably still help a good team. There's still some value there as in that same role for a good team.
How much does he make a year? Like 30 something?
A lot. Let's see. Lowry.
Yeah.
Lowry makes is he under contract for next year? Let's see here. Well, for 23-24 he made $29.6 million. And I think he's a free agent.
Yeah, coming off the bench. Ooh.
That's a lot of money. But he won't get that much money in the free agency, but he'll get, he could get 18.
I was going to say like 12.
Yeah.
depending on the team. Yeah.
But we have Anthony Scatz. Thank you so much, Anthony. Predictions to what Denver does in free agency. Interesting. Do we know what the layout is for them right now?
I mean, I know Bruce Brown's a free agent. So
he's going to make a lot of money.
Just for plays like that in the final game, like that you're talking about, like that sticks in people's mind. Yeah. And on top of that, he fits with any NBA team, like all 30 of them. Like everybody could use a Bruce Brown type player.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And Jeff Green looks like he's a free agent as well.
I think he may retire though. Like that isn't Jeff Green like 37?
But he's still athletic. Like he's like in his younger 30s.
Yeah,
but
he has his moments. Yeah.
But I mean, why not? Why not retire on a championship, right?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, he'll be 37 at some point next year. Yeah, and then who else are we thinking about? I mean, obviously Brown is still under contract. Brown is still under contract.
Oh,
he's a rookie.
That contract's gonna be really good for them. Like to have a contributor on a rookie deal.
His role will go up. So if they lose whatever, he'll just get more minutes anyway, and that'll help.
I mean, if the shooting improves, he's going to be big for them.
Yeah, and same with Brown. Brown needs to improve. Like, wait, what did Bruce Brown shoot from 3?
Oh no, he can shoot. Bruce Brown.
He had an off game tonight, but his shooting has gotten better.
Yeah. Well, in Brooklyn, in 72 games in 21-22, he actually shot 40%. Hardly any. Didn't take any. He doubled that amount this past year.
He played center there, so
36%.
He played center in Brooklyn.
Yeah. So anyway, the point being that he's fine. He's fine with a lot of room that'll probably continue to improve depending on where he goes. So yeah, Brown is huge for anybody. Excuse me. All right, let's get to our next super chat. I guess we're getting long in the tooth here, but let's finish out at least the questions. Andrew Zhu, thank you. Boston going all in on Charles Lee and Sam Cassell. Yeah, adding them. Yeah, absolutely. That's going to help really shore some things up. Those guys have a lot of experience.
Yeah, and I feel Sam Cassell with his mid-range game and his point guard play is going to really help this team because that's what Boston needs.
Yeah, I heard Sam Cassell was instrumental.
Guys, you guys did not listen to what I just said because you wouldn't agreed with me. I said Sam Cassell mid-range shooting. He's not.
He wasn't on getting on the hip and shooting that little. That's not him.
What I'm saying is, I was saying as a player, but you guys didn't even get the joke. Go ahead, man.
I'm sorry. He was. That's all he did was mid-range pull-ups.
Yeah.
If anybody in the comments understood what I did there, just drop a comment. I was saying that Sam Cassell is going to add mid-range shooting to the Celtics. He's a coach, though. How could he add mid-range?
Oh, I thought you meant like.
Never mind.
Player development.
I saw him with Harden doing that. You know that famous clip of him doing that. Yeah. He's trying to show that game Harden.
That was funny because, and I'm not even mad for James Harden for this, but Sam Cassell was teaching them how to like follow his own rebound.
Harden was like, "Yo, what do you mean?"
You know that was what he did in college. Sam Cassell probably did that drill in 1990. You know, and it's like. All right, I guess, but man, that by the way, there's a notion of Sam Cassell, a lot of experience, and it's been a lot of different benches, and that's going to really help in the in-game stuff. But I when I saw something like that, I'm like, I don't know about anything else, like any kind of player development. I think maybe he'd be better off just getting on the whiteboard and drawing some plays up and focusing on that.
Well, supposedly he really helped Shea out his rookie year, Shea Gilgeous. That's why he kind of developed into a really a decent point guard. Well, and I think probably Chris Paul helped the year after as well. And he got traded.
Right. Well, then we'll have to find out if what his trainer says about that over here. I'll go ask him. Anyhow, Creme Fresh. We have a next super chat. Creme Fresh, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Do you think that the 2018 Rockets would have won it all without Golden State? And thoughts on their style of play and if they had a chance versus the Nuggets? First of all, the Rockets team would have won anyway. If Chris Paul doesn't get hurt.
You think so?
3-1. Right?
Maybe. I mean, the other team had Kevin Durant and Steph Curry still.
Yeah, but they went 0 for 27 from 3 in game 7. So, and all those things, like they were right there. They had it, which would have been just devastating for the Warriors who have lost with that team, right? But they had it. So, they would have won it all, I think. And then, by the way, had they gotten past them, I don't think that they lose it to anybody.
Who would they have played? They would have played, Cleveland?
In 2018? Well, it wasn't the Raptors. It was the Cavs.
Yeah. You think LeBron loses to Harden?
Oh, well, that's interesting. Who would have guarded LeBron?
PJ
Tucker or Ariza, maybe?
A younger PJ Tucker and Ariza at the end. Interesting.
Maybe a Daniel House.
I don't know. I guess it could be worth looking at how the 2018 Cavs defended the 3. Would that be indicative of anything?
Yeah, but I think it would probably be easier to guard that team because there wasn't a lot of movement in the offense. Not like the Warriors off-ball stuff. Like a lot of it was ISO. Remember, wasn't that year? Harden just went ISO crazy.
Yeah,
and just
driving.
And
then
he did.
Were they at it?
Yeah.
Let's just see here. Can I do it this way? If I go overall opponent shooting, the 2018 playoff. No, we want to do the regular season. So the 2017-18 season opponent shooting, can I do it? It's going to break it into above the break and corner three, but let's just see here where the Cavs rank.
In defending,
actually, they were pretty good at defending. The opponent shooting above the break three was low, so they were pretty good at that one. Let's see the corner threes, but the corner threes, they gave up the highest percentage of corner threes of anybody in the league,
and that's mostly what Houston took.
They gave up a lot of them, so that's interesting. But I don't know. So maybe they don't win that one, but they really had the Warriors. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, all right. Let's teams are really good.
I mean, you guys remember that, right? I mean, they had the Warriors were like, needed some serious amazingness to come back on that one. All right, and that was our first super chat, by the way, from Creme Fresh. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I didn't. Let's see. Well, no, that's not a good one. All right, there we go. Okay, James Connor. Thank you so much, James. Murray is up for a contract in 2025. Do you see them moving on from Gordon or Porter Jr. to resign Murray? I wonder if this is Porter Jr.'s ceiling. I mean, I don't know. Can they keep them all together for longer than that?
If the owner is willing to pay the tax, right? If they keep winning.
Yeah, it's a big tax though, because you're going to have Jokic and Murray would be a big contract. They all would. This is what happens when you win a title. Porter Jr. suddenly. I mean, I don't know. Is this contract favorable right now? It probably doesn't.
He didn't he sign one 2 years ago? Was it?
Michael Porter Jr. makes
28 million a year. Something like that.
Is Jokic the most untradeable player in the NBA?
He made Porter Jr. this year made 30.9. And then next year it goes to 33.3, then 35.8, then 38.3, then 40 at the 26-27 season. So he's signed. They have him. But, yeah, it's going to be a tough decision if Murray comes up in the middle of that. Maybe they trade Michael Porter Jr. before they have to deal with that, right?
Yeah, I'd probably say they probably trade him before Gordon just because of they can probably replace the shooting of Michael Porter. But a 6'10" shooter is
all four, I don't think, right?
Say it again.
They can't keep all four.
They can't. Not with the new rules. Not with the new rules. It's nearly impossible.
I mean, by the way, they could, right? It's mathematically possible, but it would be they would it would go bankrupt. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Someone would have to take a pay cut.
So that's the thing. But they'll have how many years? So Murray, they have what? 2 more seasons with Murray?
Well, it's 2 years. So it's the end of next year is when the new CBA starts.
All right. So they'll have 2 seasons probably where they can keep this core together and then win another 1 or 2 or whatever, and then we'll find out if they can. But yeah, and they deserve to at least keep it together that long. But that's probably this is what the NBA is like. You'll have that window, and we'll see. And again, injuries are always an issue, so we got to see how that works. Andre Henry, thank you so much. Favorite moment from the NBA this year? Mine was Draymond stomping Sabonis. By the way, that might have been my favorite video to edit, but it didn't even do that well. But I had a great time using "Wrecking Ball" as the song.
Didn't you edit it to where when the beat dropped or something, he stomped on his chest? Or am I imagining?
Like a wrecking ball. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was good. It was really, people go back and watch that one. I don't think it did as well as the other ones for whatever reason. You should watch it. It was good. I don't know if that was my favorite, but what about you guys? What was your favorite moment from the season?
You can go, Chris.
Mine was LeBron after he got fouled in Boston and they didn't call it, and he did his whole thing in the middle of the court, just crying.
Yeah,
it was great.
I just saw that pop up in my timeline today. Did you see that?
Yeah,
mine was Luka when he made that shot and he was dancing around.
The one from the free throw line where he did he miss it on purpose and grab it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He was going. He was like,
that was funny. I watched that game live. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
I'm kind of looking right now through all my videos this year to see if anything jumps out at me, but I don't even know. My favorite part of the NBA season might have been. I don't know if you guys saw. I interviewed Dame. I had a one-on-one. Yeah. That might have been the best highlight I had, I think, this year, just because it was like it all came together in an interesting way where I ran into him and then he, I've known Dame for a while, but you never know if they remembers you, right? And not only did he remember me when I saw him, he remembered exactly what we had talked about in the first interview I did with him in 2014, better than I did. Like, so, and then,
what was that?
What's that?
What did you guys talk about?
Oh, in the first interview, we talked about shooting. We were talking about, the dip and the turn and all the different things I was really, into back then and trying to get all that information out. And he was great. It was in the locker room of the Sacramento Kings because that's what they were playing when I was up there covering that game. And that, it was 2014, maybe 2015, whatever it was. And, but I mean, we actually had spent time like during the summer league when he was maybe a rookie or whatever then too. So at any rate, that was probably my favorite moment, was just like being able to see him again, connect, do the interview. And he made special time to do it for me. And then I did the handshake with him. That was really smooth. That was probably my crowning achievement of the season, and everyone that people noticed. So anyway, that's my take.
Yeah, I hear Dame is a pretty thoughtful guy.
Yeah, he is. And by the way, you have to be to be a guy who's going to pull up from 25 and not pass the ball like in a possession and just pull up from that far. You got to be like the best teammate of all time, because your teammates are going to get really pissed at you if you do that too often. First of all, you got to make enough of them, and then second of all, you got to be really nice so they'll keep playing and be you're friends with you, because otherwise they're just going to be so pissed. So it's Steph Curry's the same way. Now, like Russell Westbrook isn't necessarily that kind of guy, and he would do those sometimes, especially in even the mid-range stuff, and that could engender some ill will. I just remembered someone that came up on the timeline maybe yesterday. Russ, maybe it was a preseason or was it in the regular season this year with the Lakers? They're up by 1.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. That in the announcers.
There might not even be a shot clock anymore, and he just shoots it, and they lose.
Literally, I think, I don't know if it's the same clip or the same play, but he takes a mid-range and like AD is at the wing, and LeBron's at the top of the key, and literally the whole crowd and the announcers, they're like, "Oh no, Russ, what are you doing?"
Yeah,
and he completely bricks it on the backboard. It was bad.
Was that a preseason game or a regular season? Do you remember?
I think that was a regular season game.
Okay,
pretty sure.
So anyhow, crazy, good times. # good times. Creme Fresh is back with us. Thank you again. James Harden to the Suns. Well, no, I thought it's only the Rockets where he's staying, right?
I believe so.
I heard. I mean, I'm hearing a new rumor. I guess that the Suns. He has interest in the Suns. He did go to college in Phoenix, Arizona State.
He did. I remember I was on the bandwagon for Harden early, coming out of Arizona State. I think he was a Pac-10 Player of the Year, and I was like, "You guys got to watch out for this guy. He was a serious, bucket," and that came true. So I mean, Harden into the Suns, and then did they get rid of CP3?
Yeah, they weren't too happy with each other at the end of their time in Houston.
You talking about KD?
No, I'm talking about Harden and CP3.
Right, without question. But then what about KD and Harden?
I think they're fine.
I think Harden and Kyrie didn't really.
Yeah, they didn't like each other at all. And allegedly the teammates liked Harden more than Kyrie. There was someone report.
I always hear good things about Harden. People like.
I think it was Bruce Brown. He said after Harden left. Actually, no, it was someone else. He said after Harden left.
Yeah, but not only him. Yeah, but not only him. Like people like Harden. Like they like.
Yeah, they like his energy or whatever he brings to the locker room.
He doesn't like talking to the media that much. I'll tell you that. But
Harden. I got a one-on-one with him once.
Nice.
That was exciting. By the way, again, another one of those things where, again, he's a very nice guy too, where he was this is actually in the middle. It's like 2015. He was already on his way of being awesome. And he was sitting on the end of the bench after a shoot around. This is back in the day. This is before COVID, just so you understand how getting these interviews now, you can't get this anymore. Like they don't really have shoot around. You don't have the press that gets to kind of walk around. And it really sucks because that was how I would do all these. So he's sitting in the far end in UCLA gym and no one's really around him, and PR people aren't really around. So I'm kind of inching over. I'm like, "Hey, James, how you doing?" I don't know if he knows me or knows what. And I'm like, "Do you want to do an interview?" He kind of just stares at me. I'm getting closer. He's not really responding. And finally, I think maybe he kind of nodded. And then, next thing you know, I sat down. We did a great interview. That one didn't even get that many views. It's weird. My one-on-one interviews with NBA players never get a ton of views, and I, for the life of me, don't understand why.
Because I think they're used to your videos and you breaking down videos. So sometimes when people get something they're not used to, they don't know how to react to it.
I mean, I guess that's true. I mean, obviously, what they want to watch is the NBA footage and me breaking it and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, but anyway, but it's all good. Listen, we have oh, and Cheeto remembers this one that was nonchalant with Coach Nick. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how into it he was, but he definitely like engaged with some of the shooting stuff. He really seemed like that. But
I remember that. Is that the one where you were talking about the one motion shot?
One motion shot and then like drawing fouls. I actually was like, I started talking about drawing fouls. That was way before he was triggering everybody with getting the fouls.
Yeah.
And but it was kind of already happening. We were kind of asking about it. I believe that was one of the questions too. So yeah, no, I mean that was yeah. And by the way, it's funny to be me asking questions like that, or even like the footwork questions I'll do sometimes. I mean, I'll never forget talking to Paul George at one point around that era, and like Lance Stevenson staring at me with the most ridiculous look on his face, like, what are you doing asking us about that? Like nobody does. It was kind of cool, but also like funny because, you know, I remember going over with Paul George, like left, right versus right, left. And I'm sure Lance Stevenson probably had never even conceived of, he just did whatever he did. So it was really funny though. Cause I remember he's just staring, you know, like Lance would do. He's just staring at me. I could see him out of the corner of my eye while I'm talking.
You're talking about like coming off a curl, like inside foot.
Like, how do you know you want to shoot it versus drive?
I mean, Lance went to basketball camp. I'm sure he learned that at some point.
Yeah, but anyway, it was cool. Let me know I was on the right track. But listen, we got our last super chat of the season, I suppose we'll call it, is from Module Cell.
Wow.
I think this is probably his first one. This is probably the highest one we've ever gotten. So I don't know how else to thank you besides saying it. Thank you. My goodness. Great coverage of these post-season games. The breakdowns were on point. Thank you so much. I mean, listen, this is the moment where I think we're going to have to say goodnight to everybody. You guys are, you know, it's late for you, and you know, the season's over. It's hard to believe. What a year. And I, you know, thank you, Chris, for being part of this. I'm really glad we were able to connect with you and find you before I realized that somebody might come on the show and flash nudity and get me banned. So we can't let them do that anymore. But I'm glad that you guys could be here. And then Combo, same thing to have you here. And you really forced me to do these, right? I was like, all right, we'll do them. And next thing you know, here we are. And they've been really great. So thank you so much for that.
Appreciate you opening your platform up to me, man. It's been great. Absolutely. It's always great. It's always great talking basketball with you and Chris.
Absolutely. And, you know, and I'm glad I could do it and get people to, you know, listen to us and, you know, get a little deeper insight and everything. It's been amazing. So thank you, everybody out there, for being part of this. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Module Cell. Again, I wish I could do, I tell you, in Module Cell, you email me and I'll send you a shirt at the very least. You know, Coach Nick at bballbreakdown.com. I'm sure you're going to be the one who's known me. No one else will. And let me know and I'll get you a shirt. And thank you everyone else for just being part of this community. It's really, it keeps growing, and every year over and over, it's just amazing to me. Oh, wait a minute. We got to finish on a good note here. Lobster's back. I am Lobster. Thank you so much, Lobster, for that too. What a great way to end it. So I don't feel, I'm not going to start crying. I'll laugh. But let's do it, guys. We got to do the sign off, right? We're going to time it right. So, thank you. Just another amazing thing for all you guys who are there. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in? Are you in, guys?
Yes, sir.
I'm in.